360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live, also on Amazon Fire TV, and to Twitch. Also, Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you today by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And on today's show, I've got a great friend of mine. He's been on the show before. He's been on the radio show. He describes himself as the professional patient. He's got a very interesting background. He's going to share a lot of wonderful things with you. And yesterday, to kick the show off, we started talking about, when I say we, Michaela Vidal was with me. She cannot be with me today because being a mom with 6 kids, family always comes first. And I remember one time when I had a guest on the TV show, or on the radio show, excuse me. And on the Friday morning, we go live Friday at noon. Friday morning, she sends me a message. She says, Jim, I cannot be on the radio show today. She says, I just got a call from my mother. My father had a heart attack. He's in the emergency room. She says, I've got to go. And I says, absolutely. She says, I'm so sorry that, I can't be on. Whoa. You're not finished packing. You're certainly not out the door because you're talking to me. Hey, go see your dad because family is important. It trumps everything. And I told her, I says, don't worry about the radio show. We can do that, no problem. But I said, remember one thing, your dad right now is important and he needs you. And if you're a supervisor out there or a leader or someone that's in charge of people, whenever someone has a family emergency like that, this is a time for you to shine, for you to be able to say, hey, I understand. Go take care of your family. We'll be here when you get back. We're going to keep you in our thoughts and prayers. And that's what makes you stand head and shoulders above others at times like that. And we got to talking yesterday. I got to put my glasses on. I'm getting some messages here. Oh, my goodness gracious. Let's see. I got a comment out here. Okay. Gordano Bruno. I think I pronounced that correctly. If not, please forgive me, sir. I've actually got a unique talent. I can mispronounce names correctly the very first time without even trying. And yesterday we were talking about addiction, and we're going to be carrying on about addiction today, freeing yourself from addiction. And we talked about things that we don't normally talk about or don't recognize or label as addiction, such as, we normally label things like alcohol addiction, tobacco addiction, drug addiction, biggie, right? But also there's a lot of other addictions that can affect our lives. We could be addicted to certain programs based on, he said, you almost got it, Jim. That's okay. Thank you, sir. And we can always get addicted to negative things. And that's why you need to cleanse your mind of the negative things. And I don't watch a lot of stuff on TV because it's all negative. It's disrespectful. It just, if anything comes from, venom, I like to call it spewing venom out on the public or something of that nature, or labeling people or trying to put people down, that's about as low as you can go. And if you're listening to stuff like that, you are polluting your mind and you're robbing yourself of the true riches of life. The true riches of life is found in love. It's an abundance in the universe. And that's your calling in life, is to rise up and shine, just like the physical sun we see, the abundance of the universe, it just floods you with abundance of love and energy that you so desperately need. But I'm going to bring to the show, welcome to the show, my good friend, Mr. Joel Peterson. And I think he's there. There he is. There he is. And you've been on the TV show, I think, twice, if I'm not mistaken, and you've been on the radio show, and you have a tremendous, tremendous story about your background. Would you also be kind enough to share, where you came from, the condition you were in, and how you label yourself as the professional patient? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Jim. Honored to be here. The first 3 years of my life, neighbors and family had to donate blood to keep me alive. Mm-hmm. 4.5, I was put on Ritalin. 5, I was put on Cyber.
Your audio is not real good for some reason. I don't know why. Is it where you're at or what?
It could be. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
I've got some background noise in there. Let me see if I can clean that up a little bit.
Let me see if it's the swamp cord.
Okay, bear with us a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Technology works great until it doesn't work.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's still a little bit of static in the background, but okay. I don't know what that is. Let me try lowering your mic volume there a little bit and see if that helps some.
I could just go off. Let me unplug this and just go off a regular mic.
Okay, let's try that, because sometimes.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you about the same. Nothing's really changed. I'm sorry about that.
Not at all.
But
I'll get better equipment one of these days, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But anyway, just go ahead and share from your heart, what you went through in your life. And there's a lot of people out there can relate to where you came from, because you came from the school of hard knocks. You were almost at the point of death, weren't you?
Correct. A lot of traumas throughout my life, a lot of head injuries. Joined the Marine Corps at 17. And after a little over 24 years on disability, in 2015, I almost died. VA couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And my mom had to move in and help feed me by hand to keep me alive. I got down to about 135 pounds. And I was dying for a few months on end. It was really intense. And I broke away from the Veterans Administration hospital, and I got to a private doctor, and he figured out my hormones were off and adjusted my hormones and started acupuncture on me and organic food, and that saved my life.
Yeah. That's really important in life, because a lot of times we go to a doctor or someone like that, and we're looking for a cure in a bottle. And one thing I've learned from doing this show and the different guests that I've had on, like Dr. George Grant and others, your health starts with nutrition. And, like vitamin D, that is the foundation of your body's defense. And if you're suffering in that arena, it's going to domino in other areas. And, like on a previous show, Joel, you talked about how suicide was more physical than it was mental.
Correct.
And that opened up a lot of eyes. We got a lot of good comments on that. For someone out there, we're on Roku and all these different places. If they're hearing that for the first time, they hear that someone is suicidal and what can they do? And the main thing that people do is go to try to get some antidepressant drugs or something like this. And you and the work that you guys have done there with the doctor and all, would you share a little bit about that? Because that's extremely important.
We start with the hormones. We do the blood lab work, and we start with the hormones, what can be changed by food and supplements. We believe that's the proper stepping stone. If you have to get into medications later, if things are really deep, then it's not out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
Start with your hormones and start with what's actually physically wrong with you. More of a mindset that I can help myself. I can fix this. When you think you're mental or you're crazy or you've got guilt and shame and this is just the way you are, well, it's true, but those things set hormones off. When you live in fear, when you live in anger, these attitudes change your hormones. So when you change your environment, when you change the people you're with, when you get to church, when you get to your veteran groups, when you get to proper organizations, when you start doing art or hobbies, you change your environment and you become part of a community and you start to calm down. And it's the same thing with addictions.
Right.
You're just going to fix an addiction by stopping the drug. You're missing a huge part of the process of redoing your life, regrow, and not doing the old behaviors that you used to do.
Yeah.
Drinking, alcohol, caffeine, work, sex, gambling. If you are just going to stop gambling, but not replace it with art or replace it with something else or volunteering, it's going to be awfully difficult.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a key point because, like Bill Heinrich, we know very well. Bill talks about there's only two basic emotions. There's fear and there's love. And fear, it comes from, we're born into a world of survival. And for us to worry about physical things, will we have enough? Do we have enough money? Do we have this? Do we have that? What if this happens to me? That comes to us natural. We don't even have to have anybody to teach us or educate us on that. But when we let go of all of that fear, just let it flow out. Think of your body as being like a container that holds 1 gallon of liquid. And you let that 1 gallon of liquid out, the bad stuff. Now you can refill that container with 1 gallon of good stuff, which is love in your heart for yourself first, love for your fellow man. And then that's what taps you into the universal power of abundance. And Joel, I'm glad you mentioned that. I never thought about that because that's very critical, because if you give up something, it's good to replace it with something good. And I'd never thought about that. When you said it, it was just like, bing, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever told you, Jim, but the Stanford Palo Alto Menlo Park VA hospital is where I went and first did my drug and alcohol recovery. And I thought I was going to learn to type and do that type of rehab. And man, when I got there, it was 30 men that were on a detox ward. I didn't even really know what those terms were. I'd never been part of Alcoholics Anonymous, none of that. And they told me that if you got caught with any drugs on you or any paraphernalia, that they were going to kick the other 29 veterans out of the program with you to the street.
Oh, that's the buddy deal. Yeah, that puts a lot of pressure on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, we were one of the last programs, what we call confrontational attack therapy. It's not attack as in fighting, but we really go off on each other in a loving, strong manner. And I was in that program for 12 months. And then I did 6 more months in a transitional housing program, and it saved my life. It really taught me a lot. It was amazing. Yeah, but they don't do those type of programs no more. They stopped them.
I remember when I first went in the military, they drilled it into you that, if one of your buddies fell, you all fell. And It really does make you come together as a unit. Number one, number two, it also, you know, lets you know you're not only responsible, you're going to be held accountable, and that is critical. I bet the group overall. I mean, that really brings the group together as opposed to individuals, you know, dealing with their own thing, you know. And
Right.
what was the success rate of that of groups like that when they used that technique?
You know, a lot of those veterans, they rotate a lot. A lot of them are your hardcore heroin addicts.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, it was pretty rough, especially 90% of them were Vietnam vets. I was the youngest veteran there. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. A lot of them were homeless, so they would literally come into the program to get off the streets. So
Hmm.
it was tough. It was a very tough program, but the success rate, you know, that's a good one. I'd say 50, 60%. But we had two people who OD'd while they were in the program. They left and they OD'd while they relapsed, and they
Mm.
OD'd while they were in the program, the heroin.
Mm.
Um, and we used to have to sign everywhere we go, and your letters could not touch each other. You couldn't hit the line on top or bottom. If you got in trouble 3 times in the day, you would be focused on in the group, and you could get kicked out immediately. It was very intense, very
Oh,
intense.
I bet so. I bet so. You know, and I was listening to a comedian, George Carlin was his name the other day, and what he said was true. Um, he talked about how in World War One they called what we went through, what the soldiers went through, not what we went through, but what the soldiers went through when they came home as battle fatigue. I mean, shell shock. That was the
Right.
first one, shell shock. He says, then we try to water the words down, and he did it in a very comical way. In World War II, they called it battle fatigue. And Vietnam, I'm a Vietnam veteran, they didn't call it anything. I mean, they just turned us back loose to society, and you know, so what's your problem? You know,
Right.
and then later on, it got labeled as you know PTSD. And he says the point of it is they keep wanting to water it down, but the fact of it is it's still a very serious condition. And you know, whenever you come out of a situation like that, you've got to accept the fact that you've changed, and you're going to be changed for the rest of your life, and that's okay. It can be a good thing as long as you don't take the route that I and several other Vietnam veterans, a lot of Vietnam veterans did, and turn to other sources that's negative, like alcohol. That was my sin, or drugs. And I quit drinking January the 1st, 1981. I just said, you know, I'm tired of this. I'm just tired. And I just made up my mind to quit drinking January 1st, 1981, and hadn't missed it since. You know, I just, but it was important for me to set a date. Set a, you know, not one of these days I'm going to quit drinking, but January the 1st, 1981. That's it. I quit. I did an about face and walked away from it. And probably would have been better for me to, you know, get into a group or something like that. But I got to be honest with you, Joel. My pride wouldn't let me, brother. I got to be straight up with you on that, man. I ain't gonna throw you no curveball there, brother.
Right. No, I agree. You know, I stopped drinking in 1994, and I was 17 just before I went in the Marine Corps when the first time I tried methamphetamine.
Mm.
And it was like, I felt normal. As soon as I did it for the first time in my life, I felt normal. It was insane. And then I went straight into the Marine Corps. So I didn't stay on it for very long. It was a few months. And that was the first time I was smoking cannabis, marijuana too.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was the jock in high school, I never did drugs. But I stopped Ritalin at the age of 12. And so when I was in the program in Palo Alto, the doctors said, "Hey, were you ever on Ritalin? He questioned me, and I'm like, no, not. I don't even know what it is. Never even heard of it. He's like, you had to have been, because I was really intense. I was really always using my hands, and I wanted this program really bad, and I was really super intense. And even the Vietnam vets, everybody there was like, wow, dude. And so he told me to go call my mom and ask her, and I did. And she's like, yeah, you're on Ritalin. I didn't know. I had no idea. I had forgotten. It was crazy. So that was the first time I had realized, oh, I have ADD, the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I always was in trouble in school. And after I got out of the Marine Corps, different jails. I never made it to prison, thank God. But I did go to different jails, mostly drinking and fighting. And in '94, I quit that. And it saved my life. There's no doubt. It saved my life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's when you turn to alcohol and stuff like that. I mean, I wasn't a hardcore drinker. I mean, well,
Right.
I drink 12 beers a night, 3 or 4 shots of tequila, which is not a light load, but I mean, I never really got into the hard liquor or anything like that. But gosh, it's such a dead end street for you. It really is. You can't feel real good about yourself, number one. And number two, you always feel like, well, deep down inside that the things that you're doing is not something you want to tell your mama. I mean, and when you have that guilt, and I didn't do anything bad or anything like that, but, just a guilt because mother was very religious and drinking was not acceptable in her house. Alcohol was not acceptable in her house, period. So, I just, you're kidding yourself and you're living a life of pretension. You're pretending to be this, you're pretending to be that, but deep down inside, you know who you are, what you are. And that drags you down. And that robs you of the abundance of life that we're all entitled to. All of us, and you were talking about, in a previous show about how, whenever you get your health in line with good nutrition, how that is the foundation of not only physical health, but also mental health. And there's been a lot of people that have been able to balance that, find that balance of health and be able to get off of medication rather than just maintaining the same level of health and looking for a medication or a pill in a bottle to solve their problem. That's a pipe dream. It doesn't work because you got to change within. And Joel, I seem to be still in a little bit of your thunder there, brother. So you just jump in there and whatever you want to say, brother. The mic is yours.
Some of this stems from parents too. My parents were drinkers. They were alcoholics. So it was accepted. And they were cigarette smokers. That was back in the day when you smoked cigarettes and you were driving in a car and windows were rolled up and it wasn't that big. It wasn't like it is now. So I grew up in that environment. And it's good to obviously not pass that on to the children that you're going to bear now. And I didn't pass it on to my nephew. I was very grateful for that. But I did pass on the stress issues, what we call post-traumatic stress disorder.
I understand.
I remember going through that, but I was on a lot of different pills from the Veterans Administration at that time. And it was horrible. It was horrible. I went through it. And I was still smoking at that time, smoking cannabis. And to some extent, I think that may have saved my life from killing myself. I had the suicidal ideations quite a bit. But that was it. I didn't drink. And I still do the caffeine. And I still do. And caffeine's one of the last addictions I have. And I am working on and wanting to quit and see how much it can improve my health. Because supposedly you get to your 4th stage of sleep, from what I've learned and read. And the 4th stage of sleep is how you can rebuild a traumatic brain injury. it's a tough situation. Addictions are very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
But support staff,
Mm.
friends, family, the proper people,
Mm.
and the food. The food, I think, is huge. I've always said that with you. Getting on the proper food and staying hydrated keeps you from being
Mm.
impulsive, keeps you from being frustrated, keeps you from being angry.
Yeah.
When you're
And,
sensitive to certain foods, as I've mentioned, there's sensitivities and there's allergies and then there's anaphylactic shock. If you're
mhm.
sensitive to 2 or 3 different foods you're eating every single day, that can sicken you and it can keep you on edge. So once you start to learn the foods that you are tolerating and do well with you, you stay away from a lot of the what I call non-organic vegetables and fruits, which can be sprayed with a lot of poisons and toxins.
Oh, yeah.
You can really feel the difference. And having the proper church, the proper group,
Yeah.
proper veteran group is huge. It's huge. I
Oh,
don't care
yeah.
who we are. We all need it. We need that community.
Yeah, it really is, because you need help on all fronts. You need to be in perfect balance and harmony with your life. But for someone that's out there that maybe just does recreational drugs or recreational drinking, they don't think that it's not an issue or something like that. And when you look at your life, I mean, if you're an occasional drinker and you go out and you're a guy or something like that, or you're married, you got a wife at home, or if you go out and do, drugs from time to time or something like that, when you come home, I don't care who you are, you're going to do some hard time at the hacienda, But I mean, what advice would you give someone that's weak and they feel like, well, they want to self-justify why it's okay for them to have a few beers or go out and drink or something like that to help them unwind, because that's an escape that from reality. That's not accepting responsibility. That's not you just don't have what it takes, as the old saying goes, to say whoa and no. If someone is struggling with that, Joel, what would you share with them or say to them?
As a client, I would work on the food first.
Mm-hmm.
After asking that they get to their doctor and have labs, I'd actually ask for lab work.
Mm-hmm.
I take the mental and the shame and the guilt away from them, and let's physically work on this. Next, I would ask that they start to walk and get outside. And if you're afraid of going outside and you have that fear, now we're starting to get into what many refer to as ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences. And you can go on the website and look up ACEs and do the test. There's 10 questions, and they ask you about divorce. They ask you about verbal threats, physical threats, addiction in the family, and you go over your past. And that tells you what level of trauma you may have experienced in your youth, because it really seems to be passed on. So when we go through that whole process, this is someone who wants to work on what they're doing.
Now, when you go to ACEs, okay, where would someone out there go to? Is it ACES? Is that what you're saying? Or what's the website?
It's ACE apostrophe S, ACEs, or ACES, ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences .com. It's readily on the internet, and it's been around for a while. CDC and Kaiser were the ones who started the test, and they don't even get into racism, or it's not very comprehensive. It's a start. It's a basic start that can refer you to your traumas in your past. Give you an idea of how you were brought up or how you were raised, or why you may be hiding in your house at the time, why you may be referring to alcohol or wine or cigarettes. It all stems back usually due to traumas in the past. It's a lot of work to deal through that.
Mm-hmm.
So getting out in the sun, getting the fresh air. Sometimes you have to get into the Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. They provide an atmosphere of support from other peers that are going through the same thing. I like to stay more on a professional side with the physical doctors, doctors of osteopathic medicine. Some chiropractors are excellent, some acupuncturists, naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine. I like the natural side of medicine rather than what we call the hospital side, the allopathic. They're more trained with pills.
Mm-hmm.
They're more trained with, you've got depression, so let's give you an antidepressant. The osteopath is more trained to figure out what hormone is causing the depression. So how can we adjust that with supplements and food and hobbies? And why are you doing this? What's going on? So it's a holistic path that people need to go down to stop this type of behavior.
Oh, yeah, because I was just Googling that as you were talking about ACEs, that the ACEs is an acronym. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And I found it on the cdc.gov website. Correct. And haven't found the actual website to it yet, but if I do, I'll be more than happy to put it up. But it's interesting that, and a lot of times we don't realize some of the things that go on in our life. It's a domino effect as we continue to go and grow, or to live our life as we walk down the pathway of life. You know, the things the baggage that we drag along with us. You know, like if you go somewhere and, you know, especially like the church or something like that, and you ask someone, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing fine," you know. And even though many times they're hurting on the inside or they're struggling on the inside, but we just automatically program ourselves. Angel Hill put a website in there, developingchild.harvard.edu. Take the ACE quiz. Okay, Angel, thank you so much. I'm going to copy and put that right in there into the ticker tape. Thank you, Angel. Appreciate that. And let's see here. Can I show that just like that? Right there it is. Right there it is from Angel Hill. developingchild.harvard.edu/media-coverage. Take the ACE quiz and learn what it does and doesn't mean. Thank you, Angel. Please appreciate that.
Excellent.
I'm just going to leave that up there so you know what we look like, because that there is very important.
Thank you very much, Angel. She's another one of my coaches, mentors, and great friends. Doing a lot.
She's another one of those who's got to put up with you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, she does. She definitely does.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. I got a boatload too of people like that.
And Giordano Bruno, another gentleman I know from Brazil. Doing his best to handle some of the problems that are going on in Brazil. They've got a lot. Of, a lot of problems in that country.
Sure.
Just trying to help themselves, but it's really nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. Go ahead, sir.
There's a new series on by Dr. Gabor Mate. It's called The Wisdom of Trauma, and he's a specialist in trauma. And it's a series which helps explain certain levels of trauma. I've been studying that to the best of my ability with the time that I have. And if people can get onto that, they might have to pay for the series. But if you really want to work on your trauma, there are different levels of trauma that you can work on. And I highly recommend that series.
Mm-hmm. You know, thinking about some of the things that we've talked about there, and the main thing for people to do is to accept responsibility. Just say, hey, I'm not okay, but that's okay. Because once you admit to yourself you're not okay, you may have a problem, or you may have a weakness, or you just don't like yourself deep down inside. That's okay, because there's people out there you can reach out to, people out there who can help you. There's people out there that care about you. Because that's the one thing that people want. They want someone to, care about them and to take, listen to them and to help them in their hour of need. And that's one thing that, not to blow my own horn or sound any pity party or anything like that, because that's not me. But that's the one thing that, the Vietnam veterans, we were in a GNC status for a long time. You know what GNC is, don't you? Those initials, GNC, it means you got nothing coming, so don't ask. But that was the way we were treated. And I'm not, I look back on it now, and I think a lot of the things that we went through in Vietnam and also back here, it made us stronger people. It really did. And if you're out there and you're struggling with some type of an addiction, I don't care if it's pornography, I don't care if it's food addiction, I don't care what it is. As long as you're honest with yourself and say, I've got a problem and I'm sick and tired of dragging this ball and chain shackled to my ankle of my spirit. I'm not going to do it anymore. And I'm going to find somebody that cares about me, that can help me. That is when you start, that's the first step in the right direction to setting yourself free. And just imagine the people out there that's, on medication for a specific reason. And I'm not knocking medication, don't get me wrong, or anything like that. But if there are some ways that people can get off of medication through proper nutrition. And that's exactly what you've been talking about quite a bit here. Angel says she cares about you there, Joel.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the secret. There's so much help out there too. That's something we have to remember.
Yeah.
You've got your city services in the city you live in. You've got your county services. You've got state services. You've got federal services. You have private services. You have advocates and activists like myself who do a lot of work for free. So reaching out and saying, hey, I have a problem. That's number one. There's no doubt. That's number one. You've got to say, like you just said, you've got to admit you got a problem. And we usually think about it. It's like being overweight. Okay. They say we believe roughly 70% of Americans are overweight. And 32-ish, 30, 32, 35% are extremely overweight, known as obese. But when you look in the mirror, you're fat. I'm fat. And that's how we see ourselves. And you've got to get out of that I'm fat to I'm sick mode, and I've got to fix why I'm sick. So this gets into the trauma back in the past and how hard we are on ourselves. And we're taught a lot of this shame and this guilt. And it gets reinforced when you're young, and it's really hard to get out of. And it takes professional services a lot of the time to help you get out. And a lot of professionals out there really want to help. They just do.
Yeah. Absolutely, because I got a little bit of an echo there. Don't know where it came from. But anyway, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, because sometimes it's kind of like getting stuck in a ditch. Sometimes you need someone with a chain to help pull you out. And you can sit there and spin your wheels all day long, and all you're going to do is complicate the issue, and you're going to get further and further into the muck and the mire of life, the very place you do not want to be. So to say, hey, I've got a problem, I'm going to reach out, I want to talk to someone, and do it in private. You could start with a religious person if you want to. You could start with a counselor. Start with someone, but mainly start communicating. And the energy, the way that it works, they will find ways. The energy will come and help guide you from where you are to where you want to be. Because a lot of people, in their mind, in the canyons of your mind, you can be anything in the world you want to be. You could be the fastest runner. You could be the best looking. You could be the richest person. You can make things happen in the future. But the reality of it is, where you're at right now, it is the perfect place for you,
Yeah.
no matter what's going on in your life. But it's the starting point of where you're going to go leave from to go to another higher plateau in life.
That's a good point, Angel. There's stuff online. There's YouTube videos. How do I stop drinking? How do I stop smoking? We know hypnotists. We know hypnotists.
Oh, yeah.
That's very powerful.
Yes.
At the Veterans Hospital, we have chaplains that are 90% of the time, they're on staff all the time. So you can go to a veteran hospital and say, hey, I need to speak to a chaplain. Now, because of COVID, they're screening people. And if we get back into a lockdown, you have to have appointments and go through security per se. So it's a little more difficult. But it's the same thing with regular hospitals. You usually have a chaplain on staff if you want to go talk to someone, and they could lead you to the proper nurse, to the proper doctor, and you can start the process if you have medical services. If you don't, like I said, we have city and county facilities that help all the way down to the homeless person. And because of COVID and what's going on in our country and other worldwide, it's you might have to wait in line. I'll be honest. Services are overwhelmed. My dad is dealing with dementia, and we just talked to a social worker today, and she came in and she said in the last month she's had over 1,000 requests for people to get put into homes, group homes, and assisted living facilities, and structured health facilities, and it's really tough. So our system's quite overwhelmed, and then you have a lot of people who aren't working. We've got that whole process going on. Then you got quite a few people that are sick. There's no doubt. So it's a tough situation.
I just want to pop this comment up here that Angel made, because a lot of people out there, they need to know this, because some people, and I understand this, you may be embarrassed because it's tough sometimes to say, hey, I got a problem, because you feel like you're admitting that you're a failure. And that's not, you're not being fair to yourself. I mean, everybody has failed at something. Everybody, as I like to say, is goofed up at a one-car funeral in their life and been embarrassed to no end. But I'm going to put her comment up here. There are 12 Steps Anonymous meetings that are online. And see, that way, in the privacy of your home, you can tune in. You don't have to worry about COVID. You don't have to worry about shots or masks or anything else. You can sit down in the privacy of your own home, and you can tune into these online meetings there, 12-Step Anonymous. And
don't have to put the camera on either,
Yeah, exactly. Just like, like here, we can cut the camera on or we can cut the camera off. It doesn't really matter. But the point of it is that do seek help. And if just like with a regular doctor, if you go there with a specific problem and the answer is not found there, get a second opinion.
Amen.
Because no one, even when you go to the baseball players, 1 strike and you're out. No, they get 3 strikes. So you make sure you don't cheat yourself, is what I'm saying. And Joel, it really is important for people to be able to admit that they need some help and step out. Could you name, not the name, but could you recall an incident where a person struggled to get help and they finally had the courage to reach out, get help, and how that changed their life? Can you think of one particular case? I know you've dealt with a lot of people, but go ahead, sir, please.
So I'm suicide assist qualified. I'm also qualified in what they call Safe Talk. So I've literally had 6 veterans call me and reach out. And then I have friends and family who have done the same thing. And people reach out in different ways. Sometimes it takes training and experience to start realizing what's going on. And one of my friends is overweight, and it's been a stepping process. You can't just say, hey, you're fat. You need to lose weight. You need to stop eating so much. No, I had to start with filtered water. How if I just start giving you some filtered water? And the next thing you know, her kidneys started to come around and she started to get better. So it was a slow little start of helping her friend feel better about themselves. And I have a theory about drug addiction. Some people get into speed, some people get into weed, some people get into downers, some people get into jumping off of buildings or bridges or extreme sports, some people get into gambling, some people get into sex, some people get into pornography. There are different levels of addiction in accordance to your hormones. I believe we're trying to replace the hormones that aren't there. So like I said, if people look at addictions as a physical sickness, not just a mental health issue, you realize you physically got to fix yourself. This is where it becomes medical. You can't just think that, oh, I'm an alcoholic because I'm an alcoholic. We're pretty positive that you have only 2 genes, not 3 genes. The third gene is the person who drinks and they get drunk and they throw up and they're like, oh, I'm never doing that again. The alcoholic doesn't have that third gene, so they keep on drinking. Okay, it's the same thing with the heroin addict. They're replacing certain hormones in their body that they don't have. Same thing with a high-level attention deficit disorder person who does speed. You're doing speed instead of Ritalin, instead of actual medicine. So if you can get off of your speed, your crystal methamphetamine, and go to Ritalin and be professional about it per se, that's a stepping stone to get off of hard drugs, to get off of hard alcohol, and it's a tough situation though if you only have those 2 of the 3 genes. It's not like you're going to go, oh, well, I'll just have a drink once a night. I'll just have a little glass of red wine. It doesn't happen that way for the alcoholics. It's very difficult. And it can be the same thing for the speed freaks per se that want to get off the speed. And same thing with downers trying to go to value. So it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you're really deep in your addiction, you're going to need some professional help. There's no doubt about it. And 12 step Angel Hill said online, that can lead into a sponsor, a person you would trust, who can get you to their doctor or get you to their group. So you start to reach out and you start to believe and trust in some people other than just yourself. And it's life-saving. Let's be honest. We don't want people to OD or do a DUI or hurt a family. It's you've got to help yourself.
Amen.
You just do.
Amen. And to help yourself, you just got to be honest with yourself. You just got to say that, hey, I can't do this alone. And there's no shame in it, none whatsoever. And when you reach out and when you find help, you're going to find others that's in the same boat as you. And I've seen things in my life that it really works good. And that is when three or more are in the same situation, one tries to help the other, and the other one tries to help back. And those are miniature building blocks that helps strengthen everyone. And that's why you need to get in the same circle of people who want to be free, like you want to be free, deep down inside. And there's nobody that can stop you. If you need a big, as my dad used to say, if you need a big throat to swallow your pride, well, just take some castor oil with it, and try to swallow your pride, because pride is one of the things that holds us back from a lot of things in life. From saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I got a problem. And pride never solved anything. All it does is put salt on your wound in life. That's been my experience with my pride. I was telling the guy the other day, I said, yeah, I tried to sell my ego on eBay and I got mad because I didn't get any offers. So I took it back and now they don't know what they're missing.
Right.
And I was joking with him and he kind of looked at me like, are you serious, Jim? I said, man, that's a joke, you know? I mean, people take this thing called life too seriously. They really do. And I mean, heck, I'm going to be 73 on Friday and, heck, I'm as thankful to the good Lord. I'm still standing. And people ask, in fact, I was asked Sunday, when are you going to retire? I said, simple. The day before I die. If I get a chance, I'll call you. If not, I'll see you on the other side of the Jordan,
Right.
And that should be your attitude because you're not put on this earth to retire. You're put on this earth to give and share and be productive because there's always someone out there that you can help. Now, if you're out there, in TV land, you're thinking, I don't know about that one, Jim. Trust me. There's someone out there that you could be a blessing to in their hour of need. All you have to do is look, And that's what makes life worth living is the giving of people. Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, Angel said the community. Yeah, did you see Angel's comment there? Community is the key to the power of healing. I'm going to pop that one up there.
Right.
There we go. Community is the key to the power of healing. Yeah.
That leads into the veterans coming back from war.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the veterans are not combat veterans; they're war veterans.
Oh yeah.
Over in war, you're in a big, huge family. The cooks, the haircutting gentlemen, the people in the band, your doctor. You're all part of a big, huge family, and then you come home and you're alone. And it's very hard for us to reach out and reach to community, so we reach alcohol. We reach too much weed. Or you're in your head and you're all crazy and you want to go get the pills. It's a tough road to go down.
It really is.
I recommend the community, like Angel said.
Oh, yeah.
You've got DAVs, AMVETS, American, what do you call it? AMVETS. And VFW, so forth. Then you've got Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. You can go volunteer. You got Big Brothers, Big Sisters, AmeriCorps. So volunteering is huge too. Get out of yourself and go help. Get away.
Even getting out in a community and pitching in with other people in the community just to clean up the community or pick up trash or go over and help, an elderly person or someone that can't physically, take care of their yard and, cut the grass and clean up the flower beds, things like that. There's always something you can do to reach out. And it really amazed. I got to share a quick story with you. I spent 3 years active duty, 68 through 71. I was in Vietnam, 69 and 70. Then I took a break. Then I spent a total of 28 years in the Army Reserve. And I retired as a master sergeant. And I retired April 15th, 2004. And one day I go to the mailbox and I got this big manila envelope from U.S. Army. I know, that's got to be something official. And I know it wasn't an invitation to the Christmas Club or anything. So it's just amazing how I opened up that envelope and it had my official retirement orders. You're officially, and I tell people I got a document from the federal government, it says I'm officially retarded. But it hit me. That's when it hit me. I thought, wow, I'm no longer a part of this unit where I was an instructor for 12 years. The camaraderie we had because we were family. And I remember, telling myself, wow, this getting old is a new experience because I've been young all my life, at least mentally. And my point being was that now I no longer belong to them anymore. Right. Yeah, now I'm alone. And it was not a pleasant feeling, to be honest. But I dealt with it and went on. But it was a shock of reality when I saw that official document that you're now officially retired.
Right.
And that was the objective eventually, but that wasn't the reason why I served that long. It was the men and women that I served with being instructors. That was a fun job. I'd go back and do it again without any pay, but I better not let the Army know that. They might take me up on it.
Right, especially nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough to get people in the
We got a gentleman by the name of Joe Dopp says, I'm here as well. Just been listening. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, brother.
Hello, Joe. Thank you for showing up. Amen.
Oh, yeah. But I tell you, it's really a fan. My goodness, we've been on the air now almost 56 minutes. Holy smokes. And Joel, if you hadn't talked so much, I'd have been able to say a couple of things. You know what I mean?
Hey, I got the gift of gab.
I hear you, brother. But the information you shared today, you said some things that really got me thinking. And, I know a lot of people out there who are suffering from addiction, who may know someone that's suffering, regardless what the problem is. I mean, please share this video with them. I apologize, the audio is not up to par, but it's not the audio, it's the content of the message that's important. And it's so critical in this day and time that no one should go through any kind of a problem in life alone, because we're social creatures. That's who we are. I know people that say, well, I don't really care to be around people. I'd rather be around my pets. I understand that. But we all crave love. We all crave companionship and friendship. And if you don't have anyone in your life like that, reach out to other groups of similar interest to what you have, because you're going to find some people that's in the same boat as you. And guess what? What a wonderful thing it would be if you could be a blessing to them in their life. How would that make you feel?
Everybody's looking for it.
Yes.
Everybody is looking for it. Everybody's looking for other people to get involved with.
Oh,
a lot of us are lonely. A lot of us are scared. I mean, really scared right now. People are scared. So
sure they are. I mean, COVID-19 scared a lot of people halfway to death. I mean, I've known people that wouldn't come out of their house for months, and I understand that and I respect that. But when you think about 2020, it's really pitiful when you think about it. I don't know who the Einstein was that came up with this, but you drive to the grocery store and you get out of your car, the first place you jet back to is a toilet paper aisle. I mean, that's kind of pathetic in a way when you think, kind of funny too. I mean, why not the beanie weenie aisle or something, But I mean, you got to jet pack and well, make sure no matter if you had 5 or 6, no matter how much toilet paper you had at home, if there was toilet paper there, you bought it.
Only in America.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe the people who had stock in toilet paper got that started. Says, hey, I know how we can get rich overnight. Next time we have a pandemic, we'll have a shortage of toilet paper. Oh, gosh. It's sad in a way when you think about it, to be that enslaved to something like that. But it just goes to show you how easy it is for our minds to be controlled. That's why we got to replace bad things in our minds with good things, because your mind can only hold so much. And I got to look at the time. We're totally out of time. Oh, my goodness. You may see a hook come over here and yank me off the camera. They haven't done that yet, but it's bound to happen. But
thank you so much for the invite, Jim.
Joe, thank you. Thank you, brother. This has been a real treat for me to have you on here, a fellow veteran and all that. And thank you again for being with us. Thank you for the wonderful information you shared. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone. We hope you enjoyed the show. Most importantly, be sure and love yourself. And that way you can love others. And as I like to say sometimes when I close the show, if the day's your birthday, happy birthday to you. And remember, Joel and I, we voted on this, and we were unanimous in that vote. Your birthday cakes and any sweets that you like, that's health food on your birthday. So enjoy yourself, treat yourself, be good to yourself. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. Have a great
Thank-
day, everybody.
Thank you, sir.